Hey guys, so it is about 20 after 1 in the afternoon on Sunday, the first day of Anathon, so I'm so excited. I'm really happy that we decided to do this readathon, and I'm just really excited in general. I have a lot on my plate today besides my reading, but the reason I'm starting this vlog so late in the day is because I was finishing up a read from February that I hadn't finished as of yet, which was Carrie by Stephen King. So I'm gonna include it in my March wrap up because I did finish it today when I started it yesterday, and I just didn't have time to actually read it yesterday on the 29th because I was really busy and really tired. But it's not counting towards Anathon. It was for a completely different thing. It really could have counted towards Anathon, but because I started it yesterday and finished it today, I didn't want to count it for that. But anyway, I have a lot of things I have to do. First, I was just eating lunch and working on something like you guys saw. I was helping my sister with editing a paper that she has for a class. And then Robert is getting home from work at about 3:30. And then after that, we are going out to do some shopping and stuff. So I have to get the groceries ordered to pick them up. And then I also have to tear down all of these boxes that are sitting next to me. Also, I am going to be editing my Anathon TBR here in a little bit after I get those things done. And then uploading that. I am editing another video for a collab I am doing with some people that I will leave a secret for now because I have no idea when it's going to come out, but I have to edit my portion of it and send it off to the person that wanted to do the collab. I need to go get some new pants because a lot of my jeans I have had over the last several months I've grown out of really quickly because if I haven't spoken about this already, the last several months I've actually gained a lot of weight, which is very abnormal for me because my whole life I had a hard time gaining weight and all that stuff. And over the last half of the year, basically, I was gaining a lot of weight really quickly, which is actually really good for me. Probably because of my birth control shot or something like that, which I know a lot of people tend to gain weight off of very easily. So that made me really happy. But that means that all of my pants I have basically, except for my dress pants I have to wear for work, they all are super small. I have probably at most maybe 4 pairs of jeans that still fit me. One of them I'm fairly certain though is not going to fit me for much longer because I wore them yesterday and they were starting to get a little tight. When I get back, more than likely is when I will actually be able to sit and start reading my first book for Anathon. It's just been kind of a crazy day. So the first book I plan on reading for Anathon is Salem's Lot by Stephen King. This is my February read for my Stephen King reading series I'm doing, but I found that this actually would fit really well with Anathon because it is an adult book. It is very paranormal and very mystery thriller based, and those kind of are 2 categories that we decided for prompt. It is possible though, and I say this in my TBR video, it is possible that this book though might get slated over into more of just a general adult book that I read over the month because depending on how the readathon goes, if I can finish Salem's Lot in the next couple days and then get to The Shining later this week, The Shining is going to be more so for that mystery thriller and paranormal set. What I'm going to do now is I just finished downloading my footage for the Anathon TBR, so I'm going to quickly get that rendered, and then while that's happening, I'm going to get a couple things done here before I sit down and edit it, because like I said, I've got about 2 hours until Robert's supposed to be home, maybe a little more than that. Okay, so it's about 2:45 right now, and I've already taken the boxes out. I've done my grocery ordering, but I'm not gonna be able to pick it up till 7 o'clock tonight, which kind of sucked. And I even swept the floor because since I moved the boxes, there was some trash and stuff sitting on the floor, so I swept it up. I edited my Anathon TBR, uploaded it. I edited my video for that collab I'm doing, sent that off to the person that is doing the collab, and right now I'm downloading footage for my March TBR just so I have it all together so that I can edit it tomorrow. And then here in a little bit, once that's been, I've got the last clip downloaded, I'm going to go record my Royal Weekender TBR video for the Royal Weekender at the end of the month, and also it's that way I can get one of my badges, and then also my February 2020 wrap up. So but for some reason, okay, this is so weird for me because this never happens to me in real life, okay? So I went outside to go take out the boxes, right? And I had a huge stack of them. I had them all stuffed in this one bigger box, and I took it out to the dumpster, and I didn't realize that there was a guy not far from where I was that I guess was watching me or something like that, but it was just fucking creepy. So anyway, I leave the dumpster and I go back into my apartment and go to head up the stairs, and I hear somebody following me up the stairs, and then I hear, excuse me, girl," and I turn around and it's this guy. And he asks me if I have a class with him, and I say, no, I don't go to the school that we live right by. I don't go there. He said, can I get your snap though? And I said, no, because I'm engaged. And he's like, oh, okay, and he leaves. But just the sheer fact that somebody literally followed me into my apartment complex, it's terrifying. Like, completely unasked for, did not know who this person was, and they just followed me into my apartment complex to try to get my Snapchat, which I don't even use. I don't even use it with my fiance. I never touch it, basically. So just that sheer fact that somebody had followed me into my apartment complex and I didn't know who they were, and they were trying to like make a move on me of some kind, like, that's terrifying to me. Like, I don't understand why people do that. Like, I don't think there was anybody else like in the parking lot or anything. It was just me. So that terrifies me, for one, just because I'm by myself and I'm alone and I'm a woman, but two, to be followed into the apartment complex itself, where I almost had, and I was up the stairs, had nowhere else really to go except down. That's just, oh, I'm so wigged out by that. Like, I have been sitting here trying to keep my mind off it for the last probably an hour or so since that happened, and I'm still wigged out by it. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I shouldn't have to feel afraid of living in my own apartment complex and feeling like somebody's following me. Like, that is not okay. Not okay in the slightest. Like, and thankfully, once I told him I was engaged, he left. But that's not okay. I don't understand why people do that. So, oh, it's been a great start to the month already for me, I guess. So it is about 20 to 4 right now. Robert is on his way home and should be home in about 10 minutes. And we're going to go out to just Goodwill, I think, to go find some pants and stuff, because I don't really want to spend a whole lot of money. And I think it's always good to support businesses like Goodwill, because they do take donations a lot of time. I don't know if their donation center is open though today, so I'm not going to take anything that I was going to donate until probably like the next time I can go in on like a better day, because I just don't know like when their donation center is open. I've had so many of my clothes for probably like at least 5 years at this point. We find 2 pairs of pants and then like maybe a dress or a couple shirts or something like that, and see if they have any like pairs of shoes I'd be interested in. The Goodwill that's actually out here is actually really, really nice. Like, it's way better than the one that's out in my hometown. And so, I don't know, maybe I'll find something. I found stuff there before that I've really liked, and I've not really been disappointed. So I'm pretty hopeful for what is to come today. And then probably we'll get back about, I don't know, maybe 5 o'clock or so, and then have to go back out into town and go get our groceries around 7. So I think what I'm going to do though is after immediately I get back, I'm going to sit down and plan out my week, because I don't have the time to do it right now since Robert's going to be here soon. And I do need to plan out my week for like when I'm going to edit my videos and stuff like that. Hey guys, so I just returned from Goodwill, and currently Robert is taking care of a few dishes that we got at Goodwill for like 10 bucks. We got like 7 gigantic plates, which is awesome. One of the other reasons I really like this Goodwill that is out here is that they got some pretty decent like dining wear stuff every now and then. So let me show you what I got. So first off, I got this kind of cute blouse that's like all polka dotted. It's a button-up one, so I could just like layer this at work. And I got a large size because I'm fairly small in my torso, and so I like larger shirts that I like to layer with. So I thought this would be really cool. And it's long sleeves, so I can roll up the sleeves for like if it's, you know, a little warmer or something out, but I thought this would be really cool to add. And then I got 3 pairs of jeans. 2 of them I had to get a size 7 because some of the 6s were a little too small, which is weird. I guess I must have grown another size at some point, but I got this pair that were from American Eagle. And these are like, actually, these are one of the size 6s that actually did still fit. Sorry for the increase in light. Robert opened up the blinds for me so I could have some natural light, but what's really cool about this pair is that like these 2 buttons that are right here, they kind of hide themselves, so it doesn't look like they, you know, are what are holding up the pants. Like, basically they look like it would have been a zipper that was there. And these ones actually fit pretty well. I thought that they fit pretty well on my hips, and they didn't feel like they were crushing my stomach either. So They were really nice, and they're actually kind of on the longer side, which I like too, because a lot of times like the longer pants, if they like don't necessarily pool on the ground, but like they can like fit themselves underneath the heel of my foot, I like to wear like small boots or a pair of heels with them, just to kind of dress them up. But more than likely I would really only wear these like on a Friday at work or like on the weekend or something. But I just know that I do not have nearly enough pairs of jeans to feel comfortable with my wardrobe. So then I found this pair of really nice high-rise jeans with a double button right here in the zipper. These are more of a light wash, and these ones are definitely ones I think I would wear with like a pair of boots or something, like the ones that like don't go over the jeans, but the ones you can kind of stuff under the jeans, like ankle boots or whatever. These ones are really nice, just because of that too. And then like the high-rise aspect, like it's a little higher waisted, so I feel a lot more comfortable with them, because I don't know why, like ever since the trend of high-waisted jeans kind of came back in like, I want to say maybe the mid 2010s, I've really liked it. I've had several pairs of jeans in the past that have been high-waisted, and I've always really enjoyed them because I feel like it just makes it easier for me to feel comfortable in them, because like I have something to like keep everything like all sucked in or whatever, which is weird considering how thin I am. But I don't know, high-waisted jeans have always been like one of my favorite pairs, especially ones that are like longer, almost like bell bottoms. Like I really like the idea of high-waisted bell bottoms. I don't know why. Robert and I think are gonna order pizza, and I think we're gonna go pick it up closer to when we have to go get groceries. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to sit and plan out my week, and then sit and read Salem's Lot for a little while, because I don't have anything else to do now since I got everything else I needed to get done today done before I had to leave. Guys, so it is Monday afternoon. It is just after 4 o'clock, and I'm currently getting gas on my way home from work. So I just wanted to quickly talk to you guys about how my reading went last night and kind of what's been going on today. So last night I ended up reading about, I'd say about 40 pages or so of Salem's Lot, because when Robert and I went out to go get our groceries and stuff and all of that, we basically got pizza and then went home and then kind of just sat and relaxed for a little while. And then we did go sit in the office for a little bit to, you know, have him play games and have me sit and read. And then I had to go get on the phone with my sister because I was helping her with a paper, and she just had a couple questions about some of the things that I had edited in it. So I spent like an hour and a half talking to her, I think, and my mom. So that was really nice. I really needed that with the kind of weekend I had and all that stuff. So I didn't read too much of Salem's Lot though, which was kind of upsetting, only because I really wanted to get about halfway through that book. but I've been listening to a lot of it today so far. I think I've read over 70 pages as of yet because I've been listening to the audiobook as I read it. So sorry for this sudden shift in perspective here, but I just had to finish up with my gas. What I have to do tonight is I have to get home, and then I'm going with Robert to go basically check on the car that we ended up having to buy for him here over the weekend. And I don't know if I really mentioned this at all to you guys, but yeah, I had to help him buy a car this weekend because last week his car basically took a crap on him, and it was just a necessity that needed to be taken care of because he has to be able to get to and from work. So this morning I took him to work because he still doesn't have a car. We had to wait till today for it to happen because we had to get approved for financing on the car, and there was an issue with it that we noticed that we wanted them to fix if we were going to pay the price sticker on it and put like a bunch of money down on it. So according to what Robert told me this afternoon when he called me, that has been, like, they've been getting it fixed and we've been approved for financing, which is awesome because I have super, super good credit to go in at 5:30 to go get that figured out. And then I don't know how long that's going to take. I'm going to guess it's going to be probably about an hour because he's going to want to test drive the car again, make sure that what got fixed did get fixed and all that stuff. And then we had to fill out the paperwork for insurance and all that stuff. So yay, adulting! This is like one of the biggest adulting things we have done thus far, besides getting our wedding stuff figured out. So yeah, I mean, it was a necessity. Is it great that it happened right now? No, but we were able to make it work because of some things that we kind of had happening over the course of the last few weeks anyway. So it was likely it was gonna have to happen soon, but we didn't expect it to happen like right away.
Hey guys, so it is, I think, going on like 5:30, 5:45, something like that, and I returned home from work. I had to go to the Secretary of State after I got out of work today, and then I ran to the library to renew my copy of Chloe and India, and then return my copy of Carrie by Stephen King. And I was going to check out The Shining, but they didn't have it in the library. I think that somebody had checked it out already. And I checked Overdrive to see if there was either an ebook or audiobook version. And they only had the ebook version of The Shining, but I had to put a hold on it. But I am the next person to get that. So hopefully before the end of Anathon, I can get my copy of that and be able to read it. But otherwise, Salem's Lot will take mystery/thriller and the paranormal categories for Anathon. So at this point, speaking of which, I am on page 351. I have read over 100 pages. Like, I'm basically cresting about 200 pages today because I listened to a lot of this actually. I listened to it on the way to work, which got me about 50 pages or so. I actually didn't really listen to a lot, but when I had like my ergonomic breaks during the day, I did listen to more of this, and I listened to this on my lunch break as well. I was reading along with it. I did start The Chemist by Stephenie Meyer, and I've gotten through the first 2 chapters, but I had a meeting this morning at like 9:30, but after that meeting I got sucked into a project that was going to be really difficult for me to listen to an audiobook with because it was going to require a lot of my attention. And a lot of times I work on mindless tasks, but on days like today where I have like a project that requires a lot of focus and attention to detail, it's hard for me to listen to an audiobook while I do that. So I didn't really get to listen to much of The Chemist today, but I will say that the first couple chapters I actually understand what has happened in them, whereas the first time I listened to this book, those 2 chapters, I had no freaking idea what was going on when I was listening to it in November. So now I'm gonna go get in the shower, and then tonight I need to edit my February wrap up and my March TBR and get those uploaded, because I was gonna do my February wrap up yesterday, but with getting the car and everything yesterday for Robert, I was just so exhausted. I didn't want to do anything. I went to bed at like 9 o'clock last night, which is kind of amazing considering that I usually wait to go to bed till like 10:30, 11 o'clock. So I don't know, I was just beat. I'm gonna probably crank through more of this because this is kind of my priority right now because I'm so far into it. For one, I think I'm enjoying this a lot more now the further that I've gotten into it. I still feel like there's some things I wish would have maybe been taken out, but I also kind of understand why they were needed because it helps to develop the story a little more. But I have a better idea of what exactly is going on, and I just feel like a lot of this could have just been cut down in a lot of ways because there's so much that's happened that could have happened in like maybe 150 pages as opposed to 350. It's still sitting at like maybe 3.5, 4 star at this point, because I feel like I'm enjoying it a lot more the further I've gotten into it than I was when I first started it.
Hey guys, so I just finished Salem's Lot by Stephen King. It's about probably close to 10 o'clock right now at night and I'm very tired, so I'm going to try to keep this review quick. But today I started on page 352, and so basically I read 300 pages today, which is crazy. I had a kind of the same deal that I had yesterday where I listened to the audiobook on my way to work and listened to quite a bit of it during the day on 2x speed, which got me through a lot of the book. And then I came home from work and sat down after editing a video and having dinner and everything and read like the last 100 pages right here within the last like hour and a half or so. So to give my overall thoughts of this, I thought that the story itself was actually really cool. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 stars because while I really enjoyed, I think, a lot of what it had going for it, there were some things I felt like were kind of unnecessary. Like I felt like some of the perspectives that were given were a little unnecessary, but it was cool to see some of them because they did have like some really interesting perspectives of how things were going on in the town. There just seemed to be a lot, like especially in the very beginning, it seemed kind of pointless because there were so many people that were kind of against the main guy in the story because he's not from this town, and people think that because he's new and all these bad things are happening in this town, he's the cause of it, or like he brought some bad juju or something like that. And so that wasn't really that interesting. But as you got further into the story, all the perspectives that were brought in regards to what was happening and like talking about what was happening was really cool. I did like that, especially like the last part of this book. I thought it was more effective to have all those perspectives because it just really made the story flow a lot better and made sense. But for some reason, like the first part of the story, I didn't understand that, and I feel like it was kind of unnecessary, but was also kind of necessary. Like I'm just very back and forth with it. Like you could either do without it or you could keep it. To go into a little bit about what this is about, essentially this is about a town in Maine called Jerusalem's Lot, or as most people call it, Salem's Lot. And in this town, we have this house called the Marston House that is essentially thought to be haunted. And the main character of the story, Ben Mears, is a writer, and he decides to go to Salem's Lot because he actually had grown up there for about 4 years of his life and had gone into the Marston House and supposedly seen the dead body of a long before dead, basically gangster that had hung himself in this house. And the house they think is haunted because the guy that hung himself and had committed suicide essentially was, like I said, a gangster, but they all believe that he may have dabbled in some very dark arts kind of thing. But as Ben continues to do research on the house and understand kind of more of what exactly has been going on there in preparation to write a fictional story based off of the Marston House, some strange things start to happen in Jerusalem's Lot where people start going missing, specifically children. There are 2 kids who end up going missing, both of them being brothers, and from there, more and more people over the course of time quickly start going missing and then either are found dead or there are some really strange paranormal things happening. People think they're seeing ghosts or spirits or something along those lines and can't really understand what's going on. So Ben teams up with a bunch of different people over the course of the story to try to figure out what's happening. But what they find is that this town is not all that it seems. There are some people, other people that have moved into this town that seem to be a little shady, and it's for very good reasons why they seem to be shady, is all I will say.
So I don't want to really spoil too much of this book. It's kind of the pretty much big gist of the story is that there's a lot of crazy things happening. There's a lot of dark elements into the story. This definitely fits the mystery thriller prompt and the paranormal prompt for Anathon because it is fraught with both of those. Like, it is actually really good. And I feel like in this one, what was really interesting is that this is so very different from Stephen King's first book, because this is the second book that Stephen King published. The first one was Carrie, which I read on Sunday, the actual first day of Anathon that I showed you guys in this vlog. And just for one, the sheer size between Carrie and Salem's Lot is vastly different. The copy I had of Carrie was about 180 pages. And this version of Salem's Lot is like 653 pages. This I thought was actually really good. I do think that I prefer Carrie a little more, and I think it's just because I didn't understand in the first part most of the perspectives that were brought into the story. But like I said, when I got to like parts 2 and 3 of the book, those perspectives were actually much more needed, and I felt like actually worked more for what the story was going for. I think that this is probably gonna beat Desperation, because I really like Desperation a lot, and that I remember giving that a 4 out of 5 stars, I think. But for some reason, I think I like this one more than I like Desperation. So like I said, it is about 10 o'clock right now at night. I am very tired. I've basically just been staring at that book for the last hour and a half. So I am going to go to bed here very soon. As far as my audiobook for The Chemist, I am, I think, a little under a third of the way through that, and I'm liking that one a lot more because I think I've really gotten to the real main meat of the story, which is very interesting, and I'm very much involved with that. I really, really like it so far. So I'm really glad that I decided to give that one another chance. Tomorrow, I'm going to be taking Fire and Blood with me to work. I'm going to see, though, if there is an audiobook available through Overdrive for that one, because I personally feel like with anything by George R.R. Martin that I have read so far, the audiobooks are the way to go for me. I feel like I get more involved with the story. And with Salem's Lot, I actually listened to the audiobook a lot as I was reading the book physically. So I think I might try to do the same thing with Fire and Blood if I can, because I feel like I got, when I was reading the Song of Ice and Fire series, a lot more involved with the series as I was listening to the audiobooks while reading them physically, because it was just so much more immersive, especially since it's a very high fantasy. So I'm going to see if I can get that and then hopefully get through a huge chunk of Fire and Blood tomorrow while still working through The Chemist to some extent. I think I'm going to really try to listen to The Chemist as much as I can tomorrow, though, because I do want to try to get through that one as fast as I can without feeling like I'm losing the story. So anyway, I'm going to head off to bed, and I will talk to all of you guys tomorrow. So it is, I think, going on maybe 8:30, maybe between 8:30 and 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and I've just finished Monsters Volume 2. Last night I also did finish The Chemist, so I'm going to kind of go into some of my thoughts on both of them. So The Chemist by Marissa Meyer was my audiobook pick for Anathon, and I did decide to make it as my more general adult pick since I have decided to remove Fire and Blood from the TBR for Anathon and kind of use it as more of like a general monthly read kind of thing, because there's so many short stories within it that I feel like are easier to take in like one story at a time. So The Chemist followed a woman who essentially used to work for the government. She used to work as a chemist for the government, making basically these different like neurotoxins and basically like truth serums, if you will, like torture-based devices for like the CIA and things of that nature. And essentially the very beginning of the story is you find out that she's essentially on the run from the government and has been for probably about, I think, 3 years or so. And it's unclear as to why. There's a lot of like mystery surrounding around it, but she basically knows that because of something that she must have worked with, they are after her. And so she's been kind of on the lam, and then somebody that she used to work with the government comes to her and tells her that, hey, they have one last thing that they want her to do, and she's the only person that they know of that they can do it with her. And so she has to go find this guy that supposedly was involved with some major drug ring, and they have a specific drug that could kill hundreds of thousands of people. And because she is kind of more of a good guy kind of person, the main character, Julia, who goes by the name Alex, she decides to go after this guy, try to find out how to stop this supposed medicine from going out and killing a bunch of people. But things are not as they seem. And that's kind of where the story goes through, is kind of finding out that things are not as they seem. This particular case she's working on is not exactly how it was told to her. And there's a lot of like deception and stuff that plays into it. I first tried listening to this audiobook in November of 2019. And in that month, I had a really hard time focusing on any audiobooks. I kind of had gone through a burnout phase, and so I DNF'd it at that time. But I was interested to a sense where I kind of wanted to know more about this character, Julia. And so I picked it up again, and I actually found that I really, really enjoyed it. Like, I've not really read anything by Stephenie Meyer. I tried Twilight when I was a kid, and I honestly could not get through the first sentence of the book. Like, I literally read the first sentence of Twilight and I said nope. So I never read Twilight. I did not read The Host, so this was my very first real Stephenie Meyer book, and I was greatly impressed. This is also her most recent book. This one was published in 2016, so I do not know if I would necessarily like her older books or if I would necessarily like Twilight anymore, considering how much that whole series is kind of just bad news bears in general. But I really liked this a lot. I really like Julia. She's very much one of those not like other girls kind of girls, but she is for a particular reason. And I feel like the story didn't go so far in depth with like how exactly she got to be who she is, but it was kind of like you didn't need a lot to understand how she ended up becoming who she is, because she just kind of had a very weird life. Like, she kind of didn't have very many friends. You know, she grew up kind of the brainiac a lot of times, and when her mother passed away, she got so far into going into the medical field, and then was picked up by the CIA because of her intelligence at like 19, and has been working with the CIA. So she doesn't really have like a lot of friends. She doesn't have a lot of real like emotional capabilities. Like, the way that I would describe her is she almost kind of has like an Asperger's-y kind of thing. I wouldn't say she has Asperger's or autism, but the kind of lack of social skills that she has is similar to that. And that could be because of the fact that she, you know, didn't spend a lot of time with a lot of people. But it was just very interesting to see how in some cases, like, her way of communicating with people was very, very different than a lot of other people, and I think was pretty interesting. It's very different than what I've seen from a lot of other characters. The one thing I will say is that there is a character that comes up in this series that I feel like was like a huge baby the entire time. I can't really go into who he is because it does spoil a large bit about what the novel is essentially about, But basically there's a character that doesn't really like Julia at all for very good reasons, but he constantly brings it up, and he basically just makes himself into like a huge freaking baby. Like, we get it. You don't like her. Get over it. Like, she's working with you kind of thing. So that was like my only really big issue with it, but I did really like the story a lot. I even kind of liked how the epilogue went, because it kind of ended off in a way that I didn't expect to happen for the characters that are involved in the story. So I was really surprised with how much I actually enjoyed this book. I feel like I got a lot from it that I wasn't expecting, and it was a lot more enjoyable. The best way that I think I can describe this, and it actually is mentioned in like the dedication that is mentioned in the beginning of the book, is that it's very Jason Bourne filled. Like James Bond, Jason Bourne, you know, spies, all that kind of stuff. Like, if you like those kind of movies, you will like this book. And actually Stephenie Meyer in her dedication thanked the Jason Bourne movies, which I'm assuming was a huge inspiration for her when writing this. So I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. I really liked it a lot. I am interested now to maybe go back and read The Host at the very least, because I know that my mom said she read it, and when she read it, she didn't feel like it really picked up at all until probably 3/4 of the way through the book. So I'm interested to see if that is the case for me, if I was to read it. And because it is not her Twilight series, I'm more interested in reading it, because I don't like the idea of Twilight given all of the things that kind of go on with it, with a lot of the gaslighting that goes on and the kind of emotional manipulation that is involved in the story from what I remember of the movies, because I watched the movies, but I never read the books. And I only watched the movies because my cousins, when I was growing up, were obsessed with them, and that was all they wanted to go and watch. And I didn't like any of them. I really didn't. I sat and I felt like I was being tortured watching those movies. So I don't know. I don't think I'll ever go back to reading Twilight. There's no chance in hell that that's going to happen, but I will try to read The Host, because I did hear that at least the movie was pretty decent, or the TV show, whichever one it came out to. But I want to see if my mom is right and if it doesn't really seem to pick up at all until like a long ways through the book. So then this morning, last night I ended up actually reading about 56 pages of Monsters Volume 2, The Blood, and today I finished it. So I feel like I like this volume a lot more than Volume 1. I gave Volume 1, The Awakening, a 4 out of 5 stars because there was a lot of information I was very confused with, just because there were so many things happening in the very beginning of the story, because we're learning about the main character, we're learning about all the different people that are basically coming after her and what she is and how she got to be like that. This is a lot more established and essentially follows a more streamlined storyline in terms of what happens to Micah, the main character. If you've not read the Monsters series, essentially it follows a young woman, like 17 years old, named Micah Halfwolf, who is what's called an Arcanic. And that essentially she's like got magical abilities of some kind, but it's not like she's not a witch by any means. Usually Arcanics involve being like a half-breed of some kind of demon or mythical being of some sort. And in this case, Micah basically has a demon inside of her. That's the best way I can describe it. The story kind of goes where Micah develops this power, though, very late in life, because after her mother is killed in this big war that happens between the Arcanics and a couple different other warring nations in this world, which are the Federation, which I believe are more human-based people, and the Kumeya, who are witches. There's a huge war that happens, and it basically destroys a bunch of people, including Micah's mother. And Micah at that time ends up becoming kind of who she is now, where she has this demon and she's considered an Arcanic. And there's a symbol that is essentially branded on her chest that we find out what exactly that is in this volume. The first volume really goes a lot into exactly kind of setting up the story and the world and who all is essentially after Micah, who are pretty much every other kind of people in this world. The Kumeya are after her because she's an Arcanic and they want to kill her. The Federation is after her because, again, she's an Arcanic and they want to kill her, and particularly because she is the daughter of supposedly a descendant of the wolf deity, essentially, that is within this world. In this installment, we follow Micah, her friend Kippa, who we meet in the first installment, who is like a fox. Like, she's a descendant of like a fox line, but she's part human. And then there's this little cat character named Ren, who is called a necromancer. Essentially, he is a cat that is able to speak, and he is like a necromancer of sorts. He's like a very powerful kind of nine-tailed cat, if you will. So there's a lot of different animals and stuff that are involved with this story, but basically these three jump onto a ship from this seaside town in order to go to what is called the Isle of Bones, because Maika essentially has some information about her mother that she wants to find out more about. She has this mask that essentially she's trying to piece together and try to find out what its purpose is, and she also finds this bone that she's given by her godfather, essentially, that she wants to know more about. She needs to know why her mother had first gone to this island before Maika was even conceived, and what her mother was looking for, because essentially the whole story is her trying to find out what her mother was trying to find out about the demons and stuff going on and what exactly her mother's plan was. And it's delving a lot into more about what exactly Maika's mother was and how exactly Maika ended up being conceived and why she was conceived and why she is the way she is now. So it's a little confusing. It's kind of easier to, if you were to have read it, for me to try to explain it, but that's the most I can really say without spoiling anything. There's a lot that does go on within this, but it doesn't seem like there is because, you know, it's such a short thing. It's a graphic novel, but these books really pack a punch. And like I said, I think I liked this one a lot more than I did the first volume, but I still feel like in some regards, I'm not quite clear on what exactly is going on with some of the more outside points of view. Like I can tell you more so what Maika's storyline is, but there's a lot of things that happen outside of that with the people that are coming after her that I still don't really understand. And I think that that's one of the things that graphic novels tend to lack for me, is I feel like I don't fully grasp everything within the realm because there's so very limited amount of time spent with the outside perspectives of like people that are not the main character, that are still have a plot line of some kind. There's so very little time dedicated to them that it becomes a little lackluster in some aspects. Like I kind of get the gist of who is after her and why they're after her, but there's other people and things that come up that I'm like, I don't feel like I understand exactly what their point is. So that was one of the big things I felt like was lacking in the first volume that I think is still lacking here. But this is only the second volume of 3 that have been released as of yet. I feel like what's going to happen is that when this entire story ends, by the time we get to the end of it, it's going to be so easy to figure out who is who and why exactly they're after her and all these things. I am going to give Monsters Volume 2, though, a 4 out of 5 stars as well. I am going to be reading Volume 3 later this month during the Royal Weekender, which is the last and most recent story of this entire comic series, which that's something interesting too. I didn't know this, but apparently this was a comic book series that was made into a graphic novels. This is apparently issues 7 through 12, and the first volume is issues 1 through 6, which I didn't know, but it makes sense considering that the graphic novel itself is split up into several chapters. So I thought that was interesting. So it must have been a comic book series before being made into a graphic novel, or I don't know, maybe graphic novels technically are omnibuses of comic books, and it just depends on the way that they're marketed. I don't know. If somebody can explain that to me down in the comments below. I don't know nearly enough about comic books and graphic novels and manga to know exactly like how these things are brought up. So if somebody can explain that to me, that would be really, really great. I'm assuming that because it's volume, this is supposed to be a comic book omnibus, but I have no idea. Anyway, so today there's not really a whole lot that's going to be done today. I think Robert and I are going to go shop for furniture today at the art van that's closing down out here, but I don't know what time we're going to do that. So I think this morning what I'm going to really just focus on is getting some writing stuff done and working on some stuff that I don't typically get to do during the week. So like my research, my writing of my book, and maybe doing a freelance writing piece just to see if I do anything. I don't know. I'm kind of back and forth with my freelance stuff. Like I wanted to do it for a long time and feel like I did a really good job with one of the posts, but I just don't feel like it's worth it at the moment to continue doing it. And I kind of stopped doing it for a long time because I didn't think it was worth it. And I wanted to pick it up again, especially when I got engaged, to try to make a couple extra bucks every weekend or so. But I don't know. I'm kind of like feeling like it's still not really worth it, and I kind of should just stop because it's not helping me in any way. It's not really hindering me either from anything. So I'm kind of debating whether or not to even continue with that. And I think I'm going to sit and edit my vlog too up until yesterday's clips was what I was planning on doing today. I do want to also read one of the sections of Fire and Blood, and today I think I'm going to start Red, White, and Royal Blue. I was going to start it last night if I finished Monsters Volume 2 last night, but I didn't, so I think today I'm going to focus on Red, White, and Royal Blue as my read. That one is my LGBTQ romance or characters prompt and my adult romance prompt. So at this point though, I've already gotten to like 6 prompts out of the Anathon list, which is awesome. The goal that we had for this week was for you to get between 5 to 7, so I've already done that. Now everything else is just kind of icing on the cake. And honestly, I felt like with any of these books that I didn't finish during Anathon, I would probably read in March anyway. So because I mean, I don't have a lot of other books that I'm reading over the course of the month between now and the Royal Weekender. I have a lot of audiobooks that I'm not reading for Anathon that I can get through too, that I need to get through because I don't have them for much longer. Like I have them for just over a week. I'm excited to go furniture shopping, so I'm kind of hoping that we get to do that a little earlier today so we can go get it done, and then I can spend the rest of the day doing anything I want. Hey guys, so it is about 10 to 4 now, and Robert and I really have just gotten back from being out in town and stuff like that and doing furniture shopping, which was kind of a bust. We didn't really find anything that we really wanted, and we were mostly just going to see how much stuff really was right now, because we don't really have anywhere to put stuff at the moment because we're in this apartment and we're not moving just yet, but we wanted to get some ideas for like what we wanted and, you know, kind of getting prices and stuff like that. But it was kind of a bust. We did go out to lunch and we went to Hobby Lobby. There's one out here where we live now, and I got some stuff for our wedding, like decorative stuff and some things that I figured would be probably a good idea to pick up now so I don't forget about it later. A pen thing for a guest book of some kind, and a little flower basket for my flower girl, and like little other bits and bobs here that I'm kind of like, you know, it'd probably be good to get this now that I'm thinking about it, and then I don't have to worry about it later down the road. I'm gonna sit and write for a while because I haven't done that as of yet. I did do my research earlier today before I left and took a shower and everything, and then I think for the rest of the day I'm gonna sit and read Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I did start a new audiobook for something outside of Anathon. I just have like a bunch of audiobooks picked out to listen to for the next few weeks, and so it's not really anything for Anathon, but it is Water for Elephants by Sarah Gurn. I think that's her last name. I don't really know much about it other than it was made into a movie several years ago with Robert Pattinson, and I did look at the synopsis, and I'm actually interested in it more because I didn't even know what it was about. I just remember hearing that it was a really good movie and that people really liked the book, and it's kind of a star-crossed lovers kind of story, which I really like. I always like the idea of star-crossed lovers. I don't know why, just kind of that pain and the, you know, the troubles that, you know, a couple will go through to get to each other kind of thing. It's always like something that I really love when it comes to any kind of romantic plot. I'm just gonna sit and write for a little while and kind of get through a huge chunk of my book that I meant to get through already, but I haven't. So today I'm working on chapters 5 through 16, and like I said, it's not a lot of editing. It's just a lot of times like there's scenes where I'm like, I need to add in more stuff about this and this and this throughout here and here. Guys, so it is now almost 7 o'clock in the evening. A few things have happened since I last talked to you guys. So as you guys saw, I was sat and wrote for a little while. I basically got to like half of the chapters that I wanted to write today, and I'm gonna do the other half tomorrow because I'm gonna have to do another chapter tomorrow anyway, so figured I'd do like 6 chapters each night. So far the writing process for this one is going pretty well. A lot of it is kind of just going back through like two of my perspectives and really just editing them a little bit here and there language wise, and like maybe fixing things here and there that I'm like, oh, I don't like how that reads, or I don't like how that is, and adding things here and there to it. The bulk of my edits are going to be with my main character's chapters though, because like I said, I'm really trying to build more on her relationships. So today I did a lot of writing with that. One chapter I ended up writing over 830 words more. At the moment, the draft is sitting at like over 20,000 words, which is awesome. Compared to where I am at this point that I was in the second draft, which is at chapter 12. I am 787 words more, which is really awesome. And that's a huge part with that chapter that I really extended. Like I basically added a scene of my main character talking to her mother, and then another very small scene of her
watching after a bad guy that she's been chasing for a long time, because I feel like with a lot of those like little things, it's I don't need real extensive scenes for her going and checking up on this other bad guy she's been chasing since she was 13, because it's not the main case that's going on. It's supposed to be kind of the thing that she does in the background. So I wanted to add a little bit of something in there for that, to show that she actually is paying attention to what's going on, even though she's not supposed to be on that case, and, you know, focusing more of her actual scenes in the case itself and her dealing with her feelings for her partner and all that stuff. Yeah, so the scene I wrote with the mom was actually really cool. I really liked how that is, and I was able to kind of tie it in with something that happens a little later in the story when she's talking to her best friend, which is really awesome. I didn't realize I did that until I got to that other chapter, and I was like, oh, I actually made that work. Thank God. That's awesome. I'm done with that for right now. I want to sit and read tonight. I want to read Fire and Blood first, though, because I do want to get that story read for the night. And then I'll pick up Red, White, and Royal Blue. I don't think I'm going to finish it and read the entirety of it today, since it's already almost 7. But I want to get through at least a good part of it, and then maybe finish it tomorrow before I do any of my other stuff that I'm going to do tomorrow. Like, finish that, get my stuff done for tomorrow, and start The Shining at some point tomorrow night. I'm gonna sit here though and watch a couple YouTube videos and just kind of like unwind a little bit. To break up to my writing, Robert and I decided to go out and get something sweet, and we were gonna go get donuts at Tim Hortons, but they were out. They were all done for the day basically, and we're closing up soon. So we went to Five Guys instead, because we know a guy that works at Five Guys who doesn't really like eat there very often. Like, he doesn't really take up his like free stuff that he gets there every day for his shifts all the time. So if he's in, we usually will go in and get like a shake for half off or some fries, which they gave us a shit ton of fries today, which is awesome. So I'm gonna eat those. That's basically my dinner, because I'm not really hungry for like a meal. And then I got this bad boy, a salted caramel milkshake. Ugh, it really hits the spot, especially on a day like today where it was unseasonably warm, but very nice. Like, it was overall like a really nice feeling day, and this is kind of just icing on the cake for the day, so I'm very, very happy. So I fell asleep almost immediately after I filmed for you guys last night. Here's my plan for today. It is almost 10:30. I just woke up probably about 15 minutes ago, so I slept for like over 14 hours. I guess I needed it, because this past week I felt very mentally drained with all the hard work I've been doing from work. Right now I'm downloading all of the clips up to this one, and I'm gonna sit and edit for a while. I'm gonna sit and edit up to yesterday's clips, basically. At some point today, Robert and I need to go do laundry, and we also have to go get groceries. I do need to read 2 of the stories from Fire and Blood today, which might take me a while, but that'll be fine. And then I would grab Red, White, and Royal Blue, but my phone is kind of sitting on it, so I do want to try to get through some of that today. Probably not finish it. I need to edit the other 6 chapters of my book that I was going to work on, but thankfully, like I said, that doesn't take usually too long, because my 2 perspectives that are not my main character are fairly solid for the most part, and then it's just adding in little scenes here and there with my main character. So I think I might do that writing though while we're at the laundromat. Hello everyone, it is Monday afternoon. It is after 4 o'clock. I just got gas in my car and I am heading home. It has been a pretty decent day. Yesterday I didn't talk to you guys after really you saw me at the laundromat doing some writing, which by the way, I'm very proud to say I was able to get to my writing goal for yesterday, which was awesome. Basically, last night I didn't do much reading, unfortunately. I really didn't. I've been kind of slacking. I haven't read really much of Red, White, and Royal Blue. I really got started with it today, and I'm only within like the first 45 pages, I think. And then I did read a little bit of Fire and Blood last night, but not very much, kind of maybe like 20 pages at the most. Tonight, I think I want to try to get through more of Red, White, and Royal Blue. I do not think I'm going to finish it tonight. I may be able to finish it tomorrow, depending on how much I can get into it tonight. But like I said, I do want to read up to my pages for Fire and Blood,
And also, I mean, the audiobook that I'm reading is not really for Anathon, but I am nearly finished with Water for Elephants, which probably could have counted for Anathon because it is an adult novel. It has very adult themes in it. It is so freaking good. I love this book so much, and I really want to see the movie now too, because I love Jacob, and I love Marlena, and I love everything about this novel. Like the time period, I love the circus that's involved with it. I love little Rosie, even as much of a jerk as she can be sometimes. Can't walk away from this novel not feeling kind of like a full heart, if you will, despite how sad a lot of the content is and some of the darker elements that are within the story. Like, it's just one of those stories where even though it's got some really, really messed up things going on in it, like some animal cruelty and domestic violence, like, it's still one of those stories where, like, I know it's gonna end up in a way happier ending to an extent, but I'm probably still gonna be really, really sad by the end of it.
Hey guys, so it's going on 9 o'clock right now, and I haven't really done any reading, unfortunately. I got home and Robert had to go out to take care of some pets for a friend of ours. So a couple of our friends are in school still right now, and they were going on a trip for spring break, as this entire week that's going on is now their spring break. So they have a few animals that Robert and I were asked to take care of since we are staying in town. So it took a little while, and we got home, and then we had dinner, and I watched the first episode of Better Call Saul, which I've seen bits and pieces of the show kind of from like season 3 on, but I've never really seen the beginning of the show, nor have I watched Breaking Bad. So this is kind of one of those shows where, like, I think we're going to slowly watch it since season 5 of Better Call Saul just came out, or it's about to come out here in a couple of days. I really liked what I saw of seasons 3 and on, essentially, and I wanted to just watch from the very beginning because I hadn't, and I was more interested the more that Robert started talking about it, about how things tie into Breaking Bad and stuff like that. So, and like I said, I never really watched Breaking Bad, so I kind of want to watch that too, but I figured it would be a good idea to start with Better Call Saul since it's like the prequel series. But I did finish Water for Elephants on my way home today, which I gave a 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved the book. The ending was actually really nice. It wasn't as sad as I thought it was going to be. It actually ended up being a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Also, with finishing Water for Elephants, I did reach my Goodreads goal for this year already. So as of March 9th, 2020, I reached 52 books read for the year, which is awesome. So I am going to jump that up to probably 100. I did 52 because I was thinking about a book a week, which in a year there's 52 weeks, so 52 was a pretty good number to shoot for, and I surpassed that like I thought I would. Red, White, and Royal Blue, though, I did read about 45 pages of that over the course of the day today while I was at work with my ergonomic breaks and my lunch time that I took to sit and read while I was eating. But that's typically when I'll be able to get to sit and read my physical books. I have 5-minute ergonomic breaks for every 55 minutes that I work. And this is like, it's based on a program that you install on your computer that pretty much a lot of people that I work with have. Like, everyone can use it. It can be fluctuated depending on if you have prior injuries that require you to have more breaks. I really like it though because it gives me a nice opportunity to like take my eyes off of my computer screen for about 5 minutes every hour, which is really nice. Like, I usually use that time to sit and read a few pages of a book, and then like I usually eat about half an hour worth of my day, and so they'll sit and read a few pages, but it usually comes around anywhere between 30 to 50 pages in a day, depending on how quick I can get through the pages. In the first 45 pages of Red, White, and Royal Blue, I am liking it. I don't really have many opinions though because I haven't gotten very far into the book, but I do see where the romantic aspect plays in a lot more, which I didn't expect it would this early on in the book. Like, there's some inklings about it, and I can already tell that there is some kind of romantic tension there possibly. And then I have not read any more of Fire and Blood. I have not made any more progress with this one. I think this is gonna be like one of those books that I'm just gonna slowly make my way through over the course of the month. It's not really boring by any means, but it reads so much like a history textbook that you almost don't have to read it in order to get the idea of the Song of Ice and Fire series. But for those of us that might be really invested in like the lore and things of that nature with any kind of high fantasy, this is a book that you would want to read in terms of understanding the history with the Targaryens and how exactly they came to fall out of power when it came to Westeros, and how exactly Robert the Baratheon was able to rule over Westeros at the very beginning of the Song of Ice and Fire series. I think that's a huge reason as to why I'm taking so much longer to get through this one and why I'm not reading it nearly as often as I think I should. So tomorrow is the last day of Anathon. As far as what I think I'm going to try to do for my reading, I really don't know. I mean, like I showed you guys earlier in the vlog, I already completed all the prompts I needed to get between 5 to 7, so I'm really happy with that. I feel very accomplished that I did that, so really reading Red, White, and Royal Blue and finishing it would just be icing on the cake, but I don't really need to do that by any means, and I would probably read this book anyway in the month. Like, I had already decided that even if I didn't finish all of these books during Anathon, I was going to read them in the month of March anyway. I do plan on hopefully trying to get through at least more of Red, White, and Royal Blue tomorrow, because I don't think we're doing anything tomorrow per se. I think Robert and I are just gonna sit and look at some houses again and try to like call up a couple to set up appointments for house tours for like next weekend. So anyway, I'm going to head off to bed. It's a little early, but I'm kind of not feeling super well. I will just see you guys with my wrap up of how the last day of Anathon goes. Hey guys, so it is Tuesday night now. It is officially the end of Anathon. I feel very productive today because like I said yesterday, finished Water for Elephants, and then today I listened to the entirety of Shiver by Maggie Stiefvater, which is not even adult or new adult. It's a young adult story, but I listened to that. I also listened to the entirety of The Canterville Ghost by Oscar Wilde, and I've also made a lot of progress in Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. So today I've read like 84 pages or so. I am really liking this. I'm liking this so much more than I thought I would, and it's so funny. Like, there are so many really good one-liners between Alex and Henry in this, and I'm now about a third of the way through it almost, and I am really interested to see how this goes because we've already had like the major like romantic scene happen within the first 100 pages, which is surprising. I would have thought that this would have been one of those stories that it takes a long time for the romance to build, but it is very obvious that this is a story where it's going to pick up real quick, and then we have to see kind of how things go from there. So I'm really liking it. I am glad that I decided to pick this up for Anathon, but I will be continuing it with it after. And this evening, Robert and I decided that we were going to watch a couple episodes of Better Call Saul, and then we were going to sit and read for a couple hours. And Robert's been actually reading. He hasn't sat and read with me for a few weeks, and so he decided he wanted to sit and read Night Shift by Stephen King. What are your thoughts so far? He's giving me the thumbs up. Do you want to expand on anything? Yeah. What would you rate the first 2 stories that you read?
8 out of 10.
For both of them?
Yeah.
So that equates to pretty much a high 4-star. That's pretty good. Oh, you've read 3? Oh. Well, alright. So far, a 7th of the book, he's got 4 stars. So that's a really good average. Anyway, so yeah, that is going to be the end of Anathon for me. I'm really happy you guys got to sit and really see like a full 10 days worth of what I do, which is a lot of work, trying to find time to read, and putting off my reading so I can do other things. That's basically my life now. To quickly wrap up with how the week went, I finished Salem's Lot by Stephen King, gave that a 4 out of 5 stars. I listened to the entirety of The Chemist by Stephenie Meyer, which I also gave a 4 out of 5 stars to. Salem's Lot was my mystery thriller and my paranormal fiction-based prompts. The Chemist was my audiobook pick and ended up being my general adult pick for Anathon. I also completed Monsters Volume 2 by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda, which was my graphic novel and comic prompt, and I used it as my adult fantasy prompt because I did take off Fire and Blood because this one's just going to take me some time to get through since I'm trying to read more of like 1 story a day, but it's quickly turning out to be that that's not the case. So then I also did listen to Water for Elephants by Sarah Gruen, which I am actually going to use that for this readathon. I'm going to pick that as my historical fiction because I realized that
after I finished it, it would count perfectly for the historical fiction prompts. So I have completed 7 prompts over the course of this week. Definitely did not get through my entire TBR that I had set for this week because Red, White, and Royal Blue was going to count for my LGBTQ romance / based characters prompt and was going to count for my adult romance prompt as well. But I hope you guys had a really good time with this first round of Anathon. I had a great time. I really hope that you guys decide to come back again next time when we do this. I don't know how often we're going to do this readathon, if it's going to be an annual or biannual thing. That's something for Adri, Liv, and I to decide on. So anyway, thank you all so much for joining me. Be sure to stick around because I will be having another reading vlog coming out for the Royal Weekender at the very end of March. The last weekend of March, there's another readathon going on that I will be participating in. It will be a 48-hour readathon, so this is not going to be like an hour-long video for that vlog like this one is. So thanks so much, guys, and if you guys did enjoy this video, please do give it a big thumbs up, and if you're not already and you'd like to be, hit the button down below and subscribe to become an owlette in our flock, and I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.